Right, good morning. It's Wednesday the 30th of October, day before Halloween. The day before we were due to leave the EU. What a waste of effort. And now we're negotiating to get back to a position where things are just like the EU, and hopefully my audio's sorted out. It's looking like the microphone's working on the voice recorder, but that's why I have a voice recorder on my gimbal. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to try out a little bit of kit, and we're going to take a schlep through the woods and get ourselves a cup of coffee. So yeah, one of the things I've found that makes me feel sort of positive and a bit more together and sorted out is going out into the woods and looking after myself, you know, bit of independence. Now the sound's going to go a bit rubbish because we're going down here next to the river, which, as you'll see, is not quite as silted up as it traditionally has been. It's flowing a lot smoother and slower today, which is a good thing because of what we're doing. So I recently acquired a few bits of kit. Some of the kit's old, some of it's new. And I think it's time we started doing a little bit of survival stuff on this program. So this is a very simple exercise and some simple equipment you can easily get yourself. So yes, this is our traditional spot. So if you give me a minute, I'm going to set things up. So what I have here is a triple fuel stove set, which is a wood burning stove that you can also use a meths burner in. Which is nice. Kevin is a Geek recently gifted me an MSR titanium kettle, which is there. I've got my seating pad because you don't want to get your bum wet, and I've got a Smart Cafe filter mug that's already got coffee and whitener and sugar in it. And I've also got this. Now this is a water filtration system that's known as the Grail. Currently they're, as of the time of me recording this, extremely cheap on eBay. I got this for 22 quid including the filter, and you can use this to filter up to 150 litres of water. So we're going to take some water from the river and we're going to boil it on the stove, and we're going to put it in our coffee, or my coffee. It's not our coffee, this is my coffee. You've got to go make your own. So once we get that lit, we'll put that on top of there, put the water and the mug on there, and I've got boiled water that's been filtered and turned into coffee. Woo! So the Grail literally works like a French press or a cafetiere, in that you fill it with water and then you push down the inner part. So I'm just going to show you that. Bear with me a second. So you remove the inner section, you just pull it up, and you're left with a steel section that you fill with water. So we're going to do that. Right, let's go over to the water. And I wouldn't recommend drinking this water just on its own, but we can. Doesn't look too appealing. There's a lot of silt and sand in it, and it's very yellow colour. I'm going to take that back, and I'm doing this one-handed. You should really do this two-handed, but I've got a handy hole here, and you take this bit, you put it in the top, and this is going to be a lot more difficult, but it does take a certain amount of force to run the filter, so I'm going to do that and I'll come back to you. So now I've got some lovely clean water. Just push down, you twist off the little cap here, which also has a drinking spout, and that locks into place with a little click. Oh. It's one-handed again, and then you push in this little bow-shaped piece and it comes undone, and you can drink from it. So you can actually use this while you're on the move, and it filters about a pint of water, which is really cool. So oh, it's so much work to do this one-handed. You won't have to. So in here I've got my Coke can mess burner, which you're my drinks can mess burner, which you fill about 2/3 full with meths to boil the water. And all you need to do is set it on fire, and as you can see, that's going. You just see the flames. That's meths for you. I'm gonna one-handed is a pain, and I've got just about a pint or half a litre of water. The filter on this is good for 300 uses. So yes, I'm going to put my water on there. Always make sure you've got a safe support for your thing. Put the lid on. And we'll come back to you when this is boiled. So this is burning a little better than expected. It's because we've got a very sort of wind-free day. Yeah. This has literally been going for about a minute, and it's already starting to show signs of boiling. I don't want to put the camera too close because it is very warm, and shows every sign of melting the camera. Yeah. So yeah, so the reason I'm doing this today is I absolutely do need an antidote from watching programs about politics, just worldwide. It's been getting me down and robbing me of all my usual vim and vigour. And I coined a phrase last night, dimensional dysphoria. You know, in that you feel that, you know, something has gone terribly wrong, and if you feel like you're the only one that can really see, you know, or the only one that you've spoken to in a day or so that can really see the problems with it all. And yeah, I think it's a problem of being too well informed. You know, at least it's nice out here. You sort of forget what's going on in the world. I'm sitting on my little seating mat, which is very good. It's like the waffle one I've shown you before. It's always good to have somewhere relatively dry you can park your bum. And it's always good to get out into the woods or into whatever bit of countryside or open ground or a park or wherever you can get to, really, to just be in a more natural setting. It is a massive hassle being, you know, even relatively intelligent and relatively informed. So yeah, so that's now really doing its thing. Couple of safety tips. He said, doing this one-handed juggling thing. Here's one. Ow. Try not to pick up something that's burning really, really well. So I'm gonna have to park this between my knees. Bear with me. I've got to pick this up but not put my hands on the little handles, because that is burning extremely well. So I've added my boiling water to my coffee. It's just some pre-mixed filter coffee with some whitener in it. And the great thing about these smart cafe mugs is that they've got an inbuilt filter, which is good for a lot of things. They're designed for making coffee, but they're actually pretty good. Let's get you a close up there. So it's like a little miniature French press for 1 cup. And the mess is still burning pretty well. On these particular stoves, these are about £9, so about $12 from China. We might as well. You know, I'm not putting a moratorium about buying from China. You know, if you can buy one of these second-hand, then do so. And handmade little drinks can stove, just fill it with meths. Cut out the middle section, about the middle 2 inches of a Coke can. Press it together. Put some holes round the neck of the can. Don't know if you can see that. You probably can. And yeah. Fill 2/3 with meths, light, it'll boil water. Easiest way to do fire. We'll do some other fuels and I'll show you how much aggravation it is, but you know, as in you speak to any bushcrafter that's liable to tell the truth. Yes, it's good to practice with different methods of lighting fire, but always carry a lighter. Don't be an idiot. You might really need fire one day. Always carry a little bit of fuel and a lighter. You can do it without a lighter, but you know, it sucks. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave the coffee to brew for a little while. Only classy editing in this show. So yeah, so I'm sat out here in a bit of wild woodland by the river, making my coffee. Yeah. So once you've left it to brew for a few minutes, and left it to settle. Let's tilt that up a bit. Yeah, so once you've, you know, you can use one of those. They're about £8. So I'm into my ability to make, you know, boiled water and coffee in the woods to the tune of about £35. But you know, that's not what you're using it for. I mean, that's you know, one of these Grail filters is amazing for a bug out bag. That's 150 litres of water that you can make pretty much, and it will filter out everything: heavy metals, pesticides, amoebic hassles, you know, little tiny things in the rivers and all that sort of crap. And it will just generally filter your water to a standard that's, you know, as good as tap water in my opinion. So those things are like 20 odd quid at the moment. And you know, that's a pretty perfect cup of coffee. So yeah, cheers. It's very hot. But what I did with that is I put the relevant amount of coffee, the relevant amount of whitener and the relevant amount of sugar in the thing, pushed down the little filter and put it in my bag. So that's a really easy setup to make a cup of coffee. You can take a cup of coffee, or you could take a little pot of coffee and a little pot of whitener and a little thing of sugar and take it out to the woods if that's how you drink your coffee. Or if you're a real man like Chipko, you'll just drink it black, but I'm not. I like my coffee with cream and sugar or its equivalent, and yeah. So if there's something you'd like to see in more detail from that little setup, that literally took me 5 minutes to filter the water, put it in the thing, boil it and get it all set up. There's going to be some editing, obviously, some time later, and yeah. And again, I'd also like to apologise for the fact you're getting two videos. You're getting yesterday's video today and today's video today, purely because I went out of the house at 9 AM yesterday morning and didn't get back till 11. And by the time I got back home, I wasn't in any kind of shape to edit video. I was exhausted. Barely spoke to anybody at work, just got on with my job and ground through the 6-hour work shift. I got to go and hang out at the music studio with my friend George, also known as Empire Loops, and he's someone I used to work with and now works at a different restaurant, and is going to be I'm going to try and feature some of his music, because the guy's a pretty good musician. He's producing some stuff, and he's also where we were when I shot the studio footage. When we were at the studio, was at a place called Spirit Studios in Manchester. And I'm kind of thinking of, just doing a course in sound engineering. Oh, it's good coffee. That'll be one thing I miss when everything falls apart. We're not going to get coffee. So yeah, so I went along to Spirit Studios, filmed a little bit in the studio where he was doing some work for his course on sound engineering, which is an interesting thing. I would like to learn how to do live sound production. That would be nice. It'd probably be quite interesting and useful. Yeah. And I'm going to smoke on camera. So yeah, yesterday was a very long day. I still managed to get footage. It's rendering as I'm filming this. So it's back home rendering, doing its thing. And yeah, it should be quite interesting. So it's a little short video from yesterday. I didn't include the footage from Spirit Studios. That's going to require a little bit of editing and maybe some voiceover work. So yeah, I want to do that. And the rest of the today is going to be spent having a bit of a tidy up at home, getting some washing up done, getting some basic things, boots polished, work bag prepped, because I'm working again tonight. I only have Fridays off at the moment. And yeah, so yeah, not too bad. I was on a bit of a down sort of run yesterday, but I think that was just, when you're feeling a bit depressed and you can't see the point to getting up in the morning. Generally speaking, get some coffee down, you get fed, make sure you're not hungry, angry, lonely or tired or thirsty. Hydrate, eat something, get a good night's sleep. Meditate on why you're so pissed off. So that the hungry, angry, lonely, tired thing, that's a thing from one of my ex-girlfriends. Halt, stop. If you're about to make a decision, don't do it when you're hungry, angry, tired or lonely, and or thirsty. Hydrate. That's why one of these things is so handy. It doesn't weigh a lot. It certainly weighs a lot less than 150 litres of water. Weighs about 400 grams. So it's 1 unit of weight in the Fallout universe, which is not accurate. You cannot wander the earth carrying 200 pounds of gear. So and I would say, if you're thinking of putting together an adventure bag, a water filter or a water filtration bottle is probably the way to go. I mean, I wouldn't use it too much for, I wouldn't want to use it when I'm, say, drinking tap water. I wouldn't want to carry it in order to fill it with tap water and drink out of it like a sports bottle. I'd carry another plastic bottle, recycle a plastic bottle for God's sake to do that. And my camera is tilting again. So yeah, but if you're coming out to the woods, or you're going on a hike, or you're going on an explore, I mean, shit, that should be something I should do on Friday. You know, actually go out of my comfort zone, go for an explore, maybe have a look for that Oldham Way thing, and you know, maybe go for a couple of hours wander rather than, you know, the 20-minute, half an hour wander that I normally go on a day. I want to get back into exercise next week. I've got some dumbbells. I've got some cheap dumbbells for about 20 quid off eBay. They're good. Yeah, get back into the exercising thing, start working on my upper body, go for a bit of a run. So yeah, getting back to form. But in phase 2, I want to talk about maybe a little bit of survival equipment, going over some stuff that we've gone over on ranges and things like that. You know, a bit of wild camping gear, a bit of bug out stuff. Maybe a talk about, you know, tools and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to, you know, now that I've managed to get, or I will have managed to get by Sunday, you know, nothing much different's going to happen till Sunday. Or Monday next week, where I'm going to try and start expanding what we've been doing, or what I've been doing on Urban Agoge. If you've got extra questions, do go for it. Another safety tip, if you're using a meths burner, I can't stress this strongly enough, do not refill it if it burns out, if you burn all the meths. If you filled one of these drinks can meth stoves about half full with meths, you've lit it, that should be enough to bring any water in the pot to the boil. And I just want to thank Kevin is a Geek for gifting me the MSR kettle. That was a really nice gift. And I'll be getting another titanium pot. Titanium's good, it's very hard to break. It's now cheaper than it's ever been. The little steel wood burning stoves, I'll show you a wood burning stove burning wood and how we get that lit, you know, just with a lighter, getting a wood burning stove going. That's pretty ecologically sound, especially if what you do is go out to the woods and run a stove. And it's good for you. You know, you've provided your own infrastructure in a way. You know, you've gone and got your own water. I've purified that, sorted out a cup of coffee for myself, which is the little reward. Cheers. And this is going to be very badly shot today, even though I've got the gimbal. So provided water, provided coffee, boiled the water, got my coffee sorted out. I feel like I did something for me. And that does seem to be a feature of feeling more in charge of your life. You know, just go out where there's you know, it's only natural resources, and carve yourself comfort from nature. You know, there's something very basic and primal about that. I'm sitting here by the river in the middle of the woods. I can hear the sound of the water, and so can you, because my microphone isn't going to filter that out so much. Yeah. And maybe we need to do an Urban Agoge meet, you know, get a few people round if you're in the UK, or, you know, if you're elsewhere, you know, go for a walk in the woods, grab some friends and say, look, you know, let's do something different today. Let's do some affirming, I hate that word though. Yeah, but it's affirming, you know, your abilities as a human being. It's doing something different, breaking the monotony, and you know, just processing what you're doing. I mean, yes, I could have, and I will at some point, make a charcoal and sand filter. That'll get most of the crap out of your water. Some cloth, some charcoal, some sand, plastic bottle, make yourself a filter, filter your water, then boil it, then you're going to be good. It's the same as making your bed, drinking some cool water first thing in the morning, getting out of bed, carving an extra few hours for yourself out of your busy day. It's important, you know. Out of everything, I'm definitely on the get up early, make your bed, and drink some water, get hydrated, get clean, you know, get out for a bit of a walk. You know, if you only learn this one concept, you know, body maintenance, and you know, it's kind of like a maintenance for your own sanity. I really appreciate, you know, no matter how tired I am, getting into a made bed that I made first thing in the morning as I got out of it, remade the bed, knowing that, you know, 18 hours later, I'm going to really appreciate the fact that I can get into a bed that I don't have to sort out before I can go to sleep. So yeah, I recommend it. Zoo Echo's recommended I read 1 Second After, which is a really good sci-fi book about an EMP pulse which just takes out everything and people have to start from scratch pretty much. Destroys travel, makes communities cling together. Not only have I listened to that while I was at work, I also listened to the 2 sequels, 1 year later and the final day. Both very good books, both thought-provoking in a way that's actually useful to you, you know, in the what would I do in such a situation. And it's kind of from that I want to play Fallout 4 in a more urban agoge kind of a way, you know. I'm finding it very difficult some days to believe in the inherent value of every human being on earth, especially if you're watching Brexit or you're watching Donald Trump do his thing, you're watching the very wealthy, you know, the whole money as God thing, which is pretty apt really, you know, because humans invent gods and humans invented money. Money is a consensual hallucination designed to free up the super rich and impoverish and imprison everybody else. And I don't think that's going to last too much longer in human history terms. I'd love to be alive to see it. But I'm with Ian Banks on that. You know, money indicates poverty. You know, if you've got money, there are obviously going to be people that don't have it. Creating poverty. And that's, you know, it's kind of the whole why I want to do more with my 3D printer. I want to produce my own goods and services. I want to produce my own electricity. I'd like to harvest my own water and run it through a filter that I've built. You know, it's you know, I just want to, you know, exist outside of this. I think you can make choices that push you into, you know, Chipko once, we were talking about it, and I don't know who came up with it, whether it was me or him or a combination of the two. But the idea that when you make a choice, you sort of sidestep into a different reality, you branch off. And if you can make intelligent choices, you can improve your reality. You know, you can make decisions to be better off. And you know, it's galling. You know, it's like you might only, you know, you might only get this one shot at existing with a level of consciousness, and then for billions of years all your atoms go their separate ways, and that gets lost or wasted. You know, which makes you hope that you can somehow survive physical death, and that sort of panic causes people to, you know, make deals with things that they've invented. You know, I'm not saying there isn't any kind of supreme being or any kind of design. I don't think it's all that likely, but you know, we've had a look. It's an infinite universe. You know, it could well be the case. But I don't think being mean to each other and being horrible to each other is what that supreme being is going to find valuable. you know, aggravating as it is. I mean, if you want to seem like a reasonable human being, you've got to be a reasonable human being. You know, if we do bump into something that can stare into our souls, whether that's an AI, whether it's another intergalactic travel capable species, or an interstellar or a spacefaring species, that's a better term, that's smarter than us, that comes along and just goes, hey, just check out these monkeys with like a low level of technology. You know, I don't want to be disappointing to something that comes along that's smarter than me. I want to have at least tried with the tools available to me. But yeah, amazed and confused. We have the technology to turn Earth into a paradise. We have the technology to tread lightly on it and allow nature to be infinite in variety and beautiful. And we don't. So yeah. So I'm going to leave it there. Questions as always. Thank you to people that do watch these episodes. If you've got something to add or something that you'd like to see, now we're moving into a more outdoors, it's not survival, it's, you know, let's call it outdoors comfort, because that's really what it is. This is not a survival situation. I can go home and get warm. I can go home and get re-provisioned. I'm only 15 minutes walk from my house, right where we are now. If you've got something that you'd like to see or you'd like explained better, that's what comments are for. Thank you to everybody that's watching it. Thank you for, you know, liking, subscribing, watching the video to the end. It all helps with the YouTube algorithm and it gets stuff out there. Yeah, I've learned a lot from shooting these videos. I've learned a lot from the people that watch them and have helped out. I've found some good books. Harlequin's massively busy. He's not going to be really moving till January now. So he's possibly not going to be making a lot of videos, although he is providing, you know, librarian support. You know, yeah. And people are providing jumping off points for new videos by asking questions and stuff. So if you ask a question in the comments, I will try and address it. So thanks to Zoo Echoes, who is, you know, basically maintaining, you know, a link. You know, if you've got a question or you've got something you want to add, you know, other people can see those comments. I mean, I do recommend, if you're watching these videos, check out the comments, because we haven't got really, the community's small enough that there aren't that many haters and nobody's saying this is bollocks. But, you know, making your own cup of coffee out in the woods, speaking of which, you know, it's a good start. You know, it's outside the bounds of most people's experience, even though it doesn't feel like much. And you don't have to, you know, it's not for bragging, right? It's for you. It's a contemplative, sit down for 10 minutes. You know, sit down by a river for 10 minutes and let it flow past you. Let it become meditative. Be quiet. Have a cup of coffee. Early in the morning. You know, it's about 9:30, I think. And yeah, we'll get these videos out. And these mugs, you know, they're well worth having. They do make you a good cup of coffee. So yeah, so tomorrow we're going to go with a different fuel. We're going to use Esbit tablets or the equivalent. That's a nice cheap fuel, doesn't weigh a lot, means you can light a shitload of fires, and it's a good fire starter. So going to use Esbit fuel tomorrow. And then on Friday, I'd like to come out and do a wood fire, because I'll have the time to get it going. See if we can get that going. Oh yeah. So, hope you've enjoyed this. This was something a little bit different. If you want to see more of a certain type of thing, or something I'm not showing you, if you'd like to see a breakdown of my current bushcrafting gear, or you'd like to see something else, or you've got questions, do let me know. Thanks for watching, and do take care.